Welcome to Impact Wrestling. As you know, something must be done before we get started. And this ain't gonna stop until something change. So, fuck Impact Wrestling. Fuck AEW. And fuck New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's gotta be done. I don't break my word unless I forget by accident. This has got to be done, guys. Look, was this a good show? It was good. There's no lying about it. It wasn't like incredible, but it was a good, solid show. But you will see the reason why I said this when we go through this show, because it's got to be done. It's going to be done. Now, one thing I want to say before I get started. Slammiversary. We got the obligatory Slammiversary teaser, where they showed a little bit of Mickie James, a little bit of Samoa Joe, a little bit of Laura Van Ness, and a couple other people. Do I believe any of them are coming? No. I won't believe it until I see it, because we've gone through this before. The only person we got last time was, well, guess who? Eric Young. Now, mind you, it was a good thing to see Eric Young back. But until we see it all, I ain't going to believe nothing. Now, let's start with the match I really wish didn't happen. Not because it was a bad match. No. Because it's leading into something, but I don't really care about it because of the people that are involved. That's Petey Williams and the Josh Alexander versus the Falabon TJP. Guys, understand this. I know you don't like Swingers Palace, some of you. Some of you despise it. Some of you love it. But here's the thing for me personally. It's not the point if I like it or not. I'm looking at it as a perspective of, does it make sense? Is there a story behind it? Can there be a story developed from it? And guess what? No fucking story behind it and nothing developed from it. Look, you had Falaba last week dressed as a woman, transvestite, because he owed money to Swingers Palace because he couldn't pay his debts. Why didn't you take the next 3 weeks to develop that and then calm down. Let TJP be willing to give his savings or the money he just won to free Falaba. I'm not saying that would be a great storyline, but it would be a consistent, making sense storyline. This is what you guys don't see if you don't see this. Because I'm sure you're saying, I don't want to see that. It's not the point that you don't want to see it. It is a storyline that has been done properly. And that's what wrestling is not doing lately. AEW is not doing all the time right. You know WWE is barely doing it. NWA, so-so. If you see my NWA review, yes, it's quite late because I forgot. Take a look at it and you'll see what's getting developed over there, including a little bit of the boobies from a Melina. Damn, I wish it had been viewable, but it was what it was. Anyway, seeing the match was not the issue. Was it a good match? Yes. TJP pins Josh Alexander, and now supposedly on Before Impact, BTI, next week, you got a 60-minute Iron Man match. Why don't they just put that on the main show? I don't agree with it. I don't agree. You now didn't have a build-up for Falaba being dressed as a woman. You did it in one episode instead of like 3 or 4. You now have a match where Petey Williams is not make-believe muscle, where his character is badly needed on Impact Wrestling, where we know he can pull it off and act silly, stupid, and ridiculous, which Impact needs in the X Division. You drag Josh Alexander into it. And you have the match where Josh Alexander now gets pinned. Scott says, you know what, you two are great, which they are. Scott is correct. Josh Alexander and TJP have very good chemistry. I'm not against it. I like seeing their match. But now you're going to have a 60-minute Iron Man match on Before Impact? Instead of the X Division being spotlighted on the main show, you put it on the pre-show, and instead of letting it be something special, like when was the last time you seen a 60-minute Iron Man match for the X Division on Impact? You haven't in a long time. That would make something interesting. Yes, it has barely any story behind it. We're not lying about that. But that is a match you don't often see on Impact Wrestling. Wasted opportunity. That's just me. You guys tell me below. Now, we got Monacy and his interview. And how, if it was true, because I don't remember Big Cass having a seizure when he was having a match, either Ring of Honor or one of the other promotions. It's possible it actually happened. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. It probably did. If he truly had a seizure while he was having a match and he couldn't wrestle for a while and no one talked to him, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's put some in perspective. Some of what he said is true. We know the wrestling industry can be sucky. We know that there's very few friends in wrestling. When you do get them, they're your friends for life. Even if you're a dick, you can have a friend who's a dick with you. Or bitch. It doesn't make a difference. Male or female, it doesn't matter. It's the same principle. You can have a friend for life that's family. It happens. But let's be honest. Wrestling can be very cutthroat. No matter what promotion you go in, it's always going to be cutthroat to some extent. Even if you're trying to put the promotion over, someone's going to get over you eventually. And some of what he said isn't a lie. But the question is, why are they using Rick Swann? Why are they using Willie Mack? My question is this to you. Do you like it or not? Do you want to see Rick Swann be working with Morrissey and Willie Mack instead of being either in the X Division or the main title scene or the tag titles? Tell me how you feel. Me personally, it's a little bit double-edged sword. They think Morrissey has something. So they're letting the guy who's been the most hottest, who's got the most pops, in a Rick Swann work with him. So I'm not going against that. But then you think, well, how great is Morrissey? Yes, he's cut great. He's not great as a promos, but he's not bad. But is he going to be the big thing? Are they going to push him? And that's the problem. I don't know if they will. It is so hard to say. That's just me, you guys. Tell me below. The 10 Knockouts tag match. Taylor Wilde was not there. So they asked a very grumpy Jordan Grace, will you come and do this with us? And she feels like a second string player, saying, oh, you call me as a backup, huh? As a last minute? And it's Rachel who is trying to stand up for her and say, look, we need another partner. We don't know where Taylor is. Let me call Jordan. Jordan comes out of nowhere already dressed, which didn't make any sense. They could have done this earlier, made her look dressed. I admit, I think what they should have done, and this is the truth, you should have had Jordan Grace in her regular clothes, that the recording was done earlier, before the match, well before the match, and they ask her to get dressed. Not that she's already dressed, because it makes it so telegraphed. For me personally, that feels telegraphed. I would have liked her in her regular street clothes, then being asked. Someone goes to her and asks her, and then she acts disgruntled, and then maybe she'll do it. And when she gets dressed, she can have that quick talk with Rachel, which wouldn't take long, about 30 seconds, pretty much saying, look, we're going to get this done. It's going to be good. And that would be it. I would have liked to see that. Now, was the match good? It was okay. It wasn't bad. You didn't see a lot of butt shots, except for Kira, because she was facing the ring. And you saw her butt. And she got a nice butt. I hope I'm not bothering you with that noise, guys. But look, what does this really give us? Rosemary is one who pins Dana Purrazzo. It is not Rachel Ellering. It's Rosemary. And here's the thing. There are only two people in the company right now that Dana Purrazzo has not generally faced. That is Taylor Wilde, and that is Rachel Ellering. She's faced everyone. She's even faced Nevaeh, who's not even there anymore. She briefly faced her. So why are you letting Rosemary have this shot? Because they're going to make Rosemary have this shot to wrestle her, because she's already wrestled Rosemary. And no matter if she cheated to win or she beat her, she's already faced her. So we're not seeing anything different. On top of that, what's going on with Jordynne Grace? You see Jordynne Grace being disgruntled. Does this finally mean, counting if she's leaving the company or not? If she's not, is she going to turn heel? That's my question to you. What do you guys think? Is Jordynne Grace going to turn heel? The way it looks, no. But then you don't really get any signs if she is or isn't. I'm just saying. Now, we got the thing that really I wish they had elaborated on way earlier. Raju and Jake, somebody. Look at the shot. I believe I got it. Of Jake somebody and Raju when he used to be called Zane. My name. When they first broke into the business together, they both worked together. They both broke into the business together. Raju got into Impact before Jake somebody did. They both known each other for 15 years. But you wouldn't know it. And instead of trying to promote this, because look what's been going on. Jake somebody has not had any general direction. They're just showing that he has something, but he has no general direction. Yes, they finished with Violence by Design and now they're going to Raju. But wouldn't it have been good to see that Raju, certain points, even though he acts like a heel, of course, he's a heel. But wouldn't it have been nice that Raju showed a few moments of going out of character and going to Jake somebody and saying, Jake, what the hell are you doing? Are you stupid? You're going to get your ass whooped by Dorling. You're going to get your ass whooped by Eric Young. You're going to get your butt whooped by Diener. Look, taking away, I'm not there for you, but I've known you for years. You're not stupid. Wouldn't it have been good for months? They could have done this, teasing it once in a while that Raju said something to Jake somebody and says, hey, stop, you're stupid. That's what an old friend does, even if he's not by your side, even if it's a heel. That would have made sense after seeing this. Because they first say that Jake somebody can beat Raju, and Raju just can't do it. Now, Jake somebody and Raju actually have history out of nowhere, where they've never promoted it, where they never said Raju and Jake somebody have ever even known each other. And instead of them promoting it a couple of weeks or at least a month ahead of time, where Jake somebody could have been approached by Raju and said, Jake, look at me. Me and you don't talk much. Yeah, we're old friends, but I don't talk with you. I got my own stuff I'm doing. And Muhammad Shear's not there. I got my own stuff I'm doing. But I'm not stupid. Just out of memory, I'm telling you, stop, or you're going to get your neck broke. You're not stupid. And he says, I don't give a damn to do. Well, fine. That's on you. But as knowing you for so many years, I just wanted to say it. As an old friend who's trying to warn his idiot friend he used to know, you're going to get your ass whooped, which he did most of the time. Is that hard to do? A 1-minute segment or 30-second segment that could have been spread across over a month or two. I'm just saying. Now they're going to have a tables match next week. What a waste. It's like with Falaba. What a waste. You could have set up Falaba weeks ahead of time, being forced to be in a dress. It's not that hard to record 3 episodes back to back to back of Falaba in a dress. Jake somebody, you could have done it months ahead of time. If you're going to do something with Jake somebody and eventually you're going to make him work with Raju, why don't you let Raju say something? I'm just saying, mind you, seeing that they are going there, I am glad they're doing it, but it's rushed. That's just me. You guys tell me below. Now, we have Violence by Design. We had the Violence by Design segment. Joe Dorling's there. You got Diener there. You got Rhino there. You got Eric Young putting them all over, saying that Joe Dorling, when he first saw him, he was the purest form of violence. He's pure. Then you got Diener, who has been lost since the beginning, totally lost his way, has nowhere. Doesn't say that I've known him for years because I trained him. Lost, completely lost, nowhere. And I finally showed him the true way that he's supposed to be. He's his purest form. And then the War Machine Rhino, who has lost his way. It wasn't that he didn't even know what direction to go. He used to know the direction, and then he got lost. And now he is his purest form again. Not becoming the pure form like Diener, and not already being the pure form like a Joe Dorling. This is what you get. Kojima comes out. Says, Dorling, me, you, against all odds. I believe I have Kojima in my face. I want to say this to anyone who said this is going to be great. What the fuck is it going to be great about? No vignette, but one. We're about to get a match with him next week. And I believe, I don't remember who he's going up against, but he's going up against somebody. If we don't get no vignettes from Kojima, or we don't get any story from Kojima dealing with Joe Dorling, because this is about Joe Dorling when he used to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling dealing with Kojima. But if we don't see the story of Kojima versus Joe Dorling, we got 3 weeks before Against All Odds. If we don't see Kojima dealing with Joe Dorling with New Japan Pro Wrestling footage, if we don't see Kojima talk with subtitles, or Joe Dorling talk with subtitles, unlike what happened with Jake Somebody and Raju, at least you can say they showed each other. If they do none of this like El Phantasmo and like Finjuice, why the fuck do you care? If anyone says it's going to be a great match, it's not the match that I'm talking about. If you don't see that New Japan Pro Wrestling or Impact Wrestling or both really don't take this partnership seriously, think about it. You're bringing people over from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And yes, they said Finjuice can't come back because they got no rematch clause that back in Japan. Why would you care? Why would you care? At least when they had Pro Wrestling Noah and when they had, calm down, when Eddie Edwards was dealing with Pro Wrestling Noah, at least you saw a couple of video packages from Pro Wrestling Noah when he was there and showed footage from Pro Wrestling Noah. What are we getting for New Japan Pro Wrestling? Nothing. It kind of makes me think about what I just heard about Will Ospreay. Now supposedly stuck in Europe now, and he can't do anything in New Japan because they screwed. For what I understand, going a little off tangent here, I've heard what New Japan's been doing. New Japan is not the great wrestling promotion you guys think, because if you go and check, look at JD, he reported on this. And I don't remember where he got the information from. You have to check his video. But he's already stated that came from the website that he did research on. New Japan Pro Wrestling is not taking care of their wrestlers. They're no better than WWE. They're not communicating with their wrestlers when they have to do new airings of their recordings. Not even talking about if they're going to be safe or not from the virus, because the virus is still going on in Japan. And they're not even talking about what is going to be needed to protect the people or the damn wrestlers. And you think New Japan Pro Wrestling is such a wonderful thing for Impact Wrestling? Now you understand why I say, fuck Impact Wrestling, fuck New Japan Pro Wrestling. Because this proves, if you don't see it, it proves that New Japan Pro Wrestling is not giving us anything, and neither is Impact Wrestling. Kojima should be spotlighted. If he's a freaking legend in New Japan Pro Wrestling, why don't we see it? We got 3 weeks. If we don't see not one video package from New Japan Pro Wrestling of their own content and see Kojima, I'm about to say Najima, Kojima dealing with Joe Dorling because they got footage of them dealing with each other. If we don't see a video package of Kojima and Joe Dorling in the past, do you really care? And do you finally agree with me that New Japan Pro Wrestling not doing it right and neither is Impact? I'm just saying. Now, we have Brian Myers. He beats up on Matt Cardona last week. You see the doctor saying that he has an orbital break or a cracked orbital socket. He'll be out for what, 12 weeks? And Brian Myers is saying, I want to know what can be needed to really keep him out permanently. And then all of a sudden, Sam from Trey's school shows up and he pisses off a Brian Myers. But Brian Myers says, you know what, I'm going to teach you. Maybe I should, if I'm not getting it correctly, he is going to be in a match with him. But now he's thinking, you know what, maybe you need to be taught a lesson, but the right way. Pats him on the shoulder. I think he's going to beat his butt in a match, but then he's going to start training him as his protege, and he's going to have him as his partner. I think that might be coming, which might be an interesting thing. I don't know yet. It depends on how they're going to do this. Is he just going to beat his ass, or is he actually going to beat his ass and train him, or is he just going to train him outright? You guys tell me below. TK versus Swinger and Hernandez. I did say this, I think a couple of weeks ago, that Hernandez is going to face with Swinger someone from DK. I did say this, and look what we get. Now, beforehand, you have a short moment with DK and Violence by Design, and you see Diener talking with Steve. And they made it very clear, Steve and Diener actually trained together under Eric Young. So they have history. The question I have for you is not the match, because the match was not the key here. Why didn't Diener rush out and attack? Are they going to do it next week? Maybe. I'm hoping they do it next week, because if they didn't want to be so predictable, that's a wise thing to do. You let DK have the match, DK won, and then next week when you see maybe Steve doing something in the back, you see Diener attack him, and then you got something for Diener, and then something for Steve, and then you see a Eric Young looking at them both like a father looking at two children, where he finally got through to one of the children. Now he needs to get through to another, and that is Steve. That actually would be interesting. Even if you don't see Steve leaving DK, it will be interesting to go in that dynamic. You'll have Joe Dorling dealing with Kojima, but then you have Diener dealing with Steve, who is connected through Eric Young, who is the head of Violence by Design. I think that's pretty good. Let's see, anything else here? If I'm forgetting anything, I'm sorry. I'm going to the last thing, and that is the match between the Good Brothers. You got the two odd couple of Moose and... The opening of the show with Sami Callihan was fine. Seeing Moose come out, because Sami is saying simply, Don's scared of me. Kenny's scared of me. The Good Brothers are scared of me. Why do you think I was taken out during that match at Under Siege? I'm calling out Kenny now. But Moose comes out. He pretty much says simply, Guy, last I remember, I won that damn match. He doesn't mention that he got screwed. He said, I won it. Wait until I'm done getting the title back, and then me and you could dance and I'll whoop your ass too. And then you see the Good Brothers coming out and hallelujah. Oh my God. Amen. And amen. I will guide you to the promised land. Amen. I got relatives who ran churches, so I do understand how God. I haven't done this in a while. During the match, they actually did this. Oh, my brothers and sisters of professional wrestling and the YWC, we are gathered today that shall bring the soul of professional wrestling into our bodies, and we will rejoice and say hallelujah. There you go, a little bit of wrestling church. Tell me if you want me to do that more often. That I will bring in the church of professional wrestling. It will not be Triple H, God himself. It will be true professional wrestling. The wrestling soul will be will be brought into your heart, and so you will prostrate in front of the altar of that ring. Oh my gosh, I sounded so bad. Anyway, was it a good match? Yes. But during that match, you have a Moose fighting with a Sammy, constantly keep fighting one another. You got a pup kick at one point to Moose's face. Then you got a Moose pup kicking a Sammy. Both of them basically fighting one another. And Moose wanted to screw over Sammy. He managed to kick out a couple of times. But eventually, Sammy gets his butt kicked. He's the one who ate the pin. Simple as that. I'm not surprised. You don't want Moose to job before the month is up, because this is what it comes down to, guys. They make it very clear, and I know I didn't mention anything about Josh Matthews because it's not mentionable, but he did say this, that Moose wants to win the title before his contract is up in this next month. So the question's going to be, did Moose really re-sign with Impact Wrestling or not? He teased he'd go to NXT. He teased to go to AEW. The key of this entire situation is not if he's gone. The key is this. We still have a storyline between AEW and Impact Wrestling where it's very one-sided. Impact is gaining nothing out of this, and I think they're happy with it. AEW is getting nothing out of this because they're not even doing advertisement anymore, because they used to do advertisement with Tony Khan. They're not even doing it anymore. So what is the point of this joining? We don't know yet. We don't know how far they're going to be going with this, and what will be the cost of keeping this up, working with AEW. I still blame both parties on this. AEW should have been letting Impact Wrestling stars on their show. Impact should have been letting AEW stars. They could have done some cross promotion, but also cross storylines that could help both companies. And they're not generally doing it much. Yes, you see AEW in Impact, but you see almost nothing of Impact in AEW. I blame them both for it. So yes, the show was alright. It was a good show. It wasn't perfect. It was good. But what do we gain out of it? We got 3 weeks before Against All Odds. Are we going to get something good by the end of this Impact Plus show? I'm just saying. And I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Please give me a comment below. You'll be seeing my AEW review tomorrow, counting if I don't get something I got to do or have gas. Ugh, I've been getting gas a lot lately. Peace.